Hey everybody, I'm Josh Olive with Haven Comics. It's Thursday night, which means it's time for shop talk. So stick around and you'll hear us talking shop. All right, you stuck around. I wasn't sure that was going to happen, but you did. So congratulations, you're here. You get to hang out with us, and what a prize that is! I'm sure that we couldn't sell it. It's too valuable. Nobody would buy it. Speaking of things that are just too valuable, they're priceless. What's happening?
My mama always said I was a one of a kind.
Thank God.
Yeah, really. I actually had a guy that I used to work for, and he told me one time, he called me into his office and he said, "Hey, look, we got a lot of stuff going on, things growing. We got a lot of work that needs to be done. I need another just like you." And I looked at him and I said, "Sir, I'll be honest with you. If there was another one out there just like me, I would suggest you hunt it down and kill it." So I was actually, surprise, surprise, I was running just a skinch behind. I was trying to find something that I wanted to pull up. I know where I can get a copy of it at because I wanted to talk about this for just a moment. The new Fantastic Forecasting.
Yeah, that's
Um,
sure is a thing.
so I'm actually going to jump to the. Let me share my screen so folks can see exactly what we're talking about. Um,
Sharing our screen.
so you posted this yesterday on
Yep.
the Haven page.
Yep.
Let's see if we can. Well, maybe it's a little
Embiggen it a
better.
little bit.
I don't. Let's see. Bam, bam. Yes, I can. So, what I my main thing when I saw this was I liked the way that it looked old school. What's that,
Yeah,
Jay?
it's
Um,
supposed to be set in the 60s, from what I understand.
well, my thing is I really, really, really hope they go with these uniforms live action wise.
Hmm.
I thought these looked great, and they don't look like your typical spandex jumpsuit, something like that.
Well, because they're not superheroes.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't. Let's be honest, and I know this might be a hot take for some folks. I enjoyed the Fantastic Four movie with Jessica Alba and all them, but I don't want those type of Fantastic Four onesies. Basically, I really like the way that this looks. And I love the fact that we've got the picture of Ben Grimm before he becomes the Thing hanging on the wall in the
Oh,
background.
I loved that. I thought that was a great touch.
It really was.
And
I'm
look at
honest,
Herbie the robot down there.
yep. I'm honestly looking forward to this. I didn't know how I was going to feel. I never really pictured Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, but I mean, the man's good no matter what he does. It was just one of those I was kind of, I really just didn't picture him. But I like the vibe that they went with on this. So I'm really hoping that they stick with this.
I agree. I totally dig the vibe. Um, I like the time period. I like the setting. I like some of the choices there. Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards is the weird choice to me because he just doesn't look like Reed Richards in, I mean, at all, right? At bare minimum, Reed has always been very thin to kind of give him that elasticy look and feel, and Pedro Pascal is not that.
Yeah, what
Um,
was it Ian Gaffold or something like that? Galfold? He
are you
played him
talking
in
about
the.
who played him before? I hated that guy.
See, I thought he did a
I
good
could
job.
not stand that guy. Like I had a visceral reaction to him that was not good. Like I saw him and I just wanted to yell fraud, j'accuse, get off
Really?
my screen. No, I could not stand that guy.
See, I liked him as it. I thought he did a good job.
Well, you're entitled to be wrong.
Well, it was. I think that no matter what, we can definitely agree that it was 10 times better than that last little outing of the Fantastic Four we had.
I'm going to kind of sort of halfway, actually 2/3 of the way disagree.
See,
The
I did not.
first 2/3 of that movie, which were based on the Ultimate Fantastic Four, right?
Yep.
Set up some pretty cool stuff. The fact that they had no idea what to do with it ruined the whole thing. But the first 2/3 of that movie were actually pretty good. If you go back and watch it, it set things up pretty well. And then they just completely screwed the pooch, went the wrong way, dropped the ball, whatever phrase you want to use. They messed up. But the beginning of it was not bad.
See, my problem with that movie was I think it was not the actors. I feel like all the actors did a really good job with
I mean,
what
you
they
had
had.
Michael B. Jordan for crying out loud.
Yeah, I mean, they all did a really good job with what they had. I was not big on the entire presentation of the movie. I just didn't feel like it just didn't look right to me. It just didn't feel right. And I did not like the way Doom looked at all.
Oh no, that was hideous. That
That was
was
just
absolutely
awful.
hideous.
To me, the way Doom looked was the icing on the cake for ruining the movie for me.
Oh, I get that. They absolutely did Doom wrong. 100%. 100% did him wrong. And that's the problem with Doom is so many people don't know how to use him because they want to do a bunch of different things with him instead of letting him be Doom. And Doom just needs to be Doom.
Yeah, and
You know
see,
what I
and I
mean?
feel like the guy that played Doom in the other Fantastic Four movie, I thought he did a phenomenal job as Doom.
I thought he did a fair to middling job as Doom.
The
I
whole
didn't like what they did to Doom because when you make Doom's motivations so petty, Doom is a great guy. Doom is and I don't mean like a good guy. I mean great as in the sense of big, aspirational. He has big plans, and the little petty crap that they had him going through on that movie did not serve him. That was not Doom.
yeah, but his arrogance and the way that he carried himself and portrayed that role, I thought was perfect. Because to me, that type of arrogance that he had, that's what I would think of as Doom acting if Doom was in real life, you know?
Who is Nick Ellis talking to?
I don't know. Oh, speaking of people who normally don't buy comic books, I heard that you had new customers Saturday that was kind of a spur of the moment, and they were looking for Dogman, I believe it was.
Indeed.
So I,
Indeed.
I actually work with that guy.
He told me.
Oh, okay. I didn't know he told you.
It took me a minute to figure out who Mark was, but yeah, he told me.
Well, let's be honest. The store left a massive impression on the kids,
A
and
good one, I hope.
do not be surprised if they're not back soon.
Oh, awesome. Good. Good, good, good. No, they were very cool. The younger it was a young he had a young daughter and then a really young son.
Yeah.
And his young son really he's like, pick out anything you want from over here, and he's looking because we've got the Silver Age books kind of on the top half of those white shelves, and the kids' books are underneath. And the kid looks and he points straight to Amazing Spider-Man number 301, and he's like, "Uh, well, because it's got a big tear out of the right-hand top corner of the front cover, so
Yeah.
it's not worth very much. I mean, it's like $25, but he looks at that." And he picks that up, and the kid, when he picked that up, the kid saw the book behind it, and he was like, "That one." And that was like a $60 Silver Age Spider-Man book. And he's like, "Not that one, buddy." And I was like, the two things that it had in common was Spider-Man and a green background.
Really?
He likes Spider-Man and green. I was like, we can find him something else.
Well, because he asked me, apparently y'all talked about the book and in good condition, it would be like a $90 book, something like that.
Yeah.
And he asked me, he was like, would this $25 book ever be worth $90? And I'm like, well, that all depends. Maybe one day when the $90 ones are extremely scarce or they've gone so far up, nobody's willing to spend that money anymore. That's just a chance you take. I was like, but a $25 book, I mean, that's kind of, if you want to buy that stuff and put them away for your son, you go that route. Yep. I was like, if you want reader copies and something that he can rip apart and scream Spider-Man, you just buy anything off over by the newer stuff.
You buy a $4 facsimile.
Yeah, really.
That's what you buy for that kid. But no, they were pretty cool. It's actually very funny because the little boy was very nervous to walk past me. He was like, and he just kept looking up and he's bending backwards like, oh my God, that never ends. So the minute I got out of the way, he's like scooched around and went over there. But yeah, that was pretty funny. I enjoy tremendously putting comics in the hands of kids who are like excited about them and they're going to read them. Yep. I love that. It's just a great feeling.
Well, like I said, the store left an impression and they'll definitely be back.
Ooh, it's nervous.
Well, I mean, that's still the way Nick looks up to you.
That's so funny.
Now, and Nick, omnibuy are collected works. How many times do we have to go over this? Don't worry. There's a particular collected works up there that I want. I'm just not pulling the trigger yet.
Which one is that?
That Frank Miller Daredevil.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I think it just made its way over. It's one of those that I know I'm going to buy sooner or later.
Yep. Just like that Godzilla book.
Yeah, that's still an open wound. I would appreciate it if we didn't bring it up right now.
Too soon.
Yeah, too soon, because I don't buy display pieces. I buy pieces because I love them, not because I want to put them on some black pedestal in front of some other display pieces and send my friends pictures of them.
Nick, I will say I don't think that that's true. Just because they're all in one and there's a ton of them, you don't know how many comic books Alan gets.
Yeah, really.
He's a voracious reader. How much is the Daredevil omnibus?
I tell you what, Nick.
I'll cut you a deal, Nick.
If you buy that, you have to read it, and then you have to come back and admit that Daredevil is the greatest of all time.
Speaking of omnibuy, what do you guys think about the news of the DC Marvel crossovers being reprinted? They are being reprinted. That's the old Superman, Spider-Man, Hulk, Batman, all of those old stories that were like the giant treasury-sized books. Those are being reprinted, and also the amalgam books from the 90s are being reprinted. But both of those will be coming out in ginormous $150 omnibuses. What do you guys think about that?
Is that all they're going to do, is do them in omnibuses?
Yep.
See, I say omnibuy because it sounds like wrong, and I know it's probably getting on somebody's nerves somewhere.
Well, that is the correct pluralization for a great many words that ended US. So syllabus, octopus, etc. Hippopotamus. So you're probably correct.
My thing on that is it would be cool to have that. I think that the price tag is a little bit too hefty at $150. I do hope, and they do a really good job. I hope they sell a lot of them and there's an interest shown, because I think that both companies could benefit from another crossover.
Oh, I think so too.
I would love, and you and I kind of talked about it the other day online. I guess it was in that Facebook post. I would love to see a Nightwing Spider-Man crossover written by Tom Taylor.
Oh, heck yeah.
I think that would be perfect. I would actually like to see a Midnight Suns Justice League Dark, but you're not going to believe who I would want to write it. I would actually want to see Dan Panosian write that.
Why would I not believe that? I'm totally on board with that.
So, well, I mean, a lot of people would. That's probably not somebody they would think of to write that book.
They're just reprints, James, so you don't have to
Yeah,
worry about that. Omnibuses.
omnibuses.
No, Dan Panosian would be great. I'd love to see what he'd do with that.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see some new stuff come out of it. I really would.
Oh, I would love to see a new crossover. I think that would be spectacular. I would love to see some of the ones that one I've always wanted to see. In fact, I wanted to write it years and years ago because the very idea of it just amuses me. Is a Batman Spider-Man crossover because Spider-Man would annoy the ever-loving crap out of Batman.
We know
The
they did that
constant,
one crossover in the 90s.
yeah, but I mean a good one.
Okay, yeah, good point. Fair. Yeah, Bill, Nightwing Daredevil would be a good one. Okay, let's have it.
You know how some people are spiteful?
Yes.
Somebody bought the Daredevil omnibus today.
Okay. But here's the thing about it. They didn't know that I wanted it until just now. So it happens.
Nope, they knew.
Really. Josh, was it that person? Did he do it again?
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Let me tell you what.
Our customers value our discretion.
I'm gonna have to sit down and have a long talk with his brother.
Have his brother bring a baseball bat.
I'm gonna have his brother straighten him out.
I'm just so tickled right now.
But why? Okay, look, I do everything I can not to cuss on here.
It's a spite purchase.
Yeah, it was a spike purchase. But here's my thing. Why is it the shit only sells just before I mention it? If I would have never mentioned it, I guarantee you it never would have saw. The universe knew that I was going to mention that omnibus today before I even knew, and the universe went, no, let's go ahead and take it from him.
That seems to be the case. Because that has happened to you on more than 3 or 4 or 10 occasions, I will say.
But how is it that it's that one particular person that gets me?
I mean, you guys are on the same channel. He's intercepting your wavelengths out of your transmission. I don't know.
Because, I mean, let's be honest with you. I think Kanto's stupid. But other than that,
Ouch.
Does our
Them
taste,
fighting words.
Does our tastes line up that well?
I don't think so. Although, I say that they definitely could because you guys read of the manga that is read in our store. You guys read the same ones. It's entirely possible. Now, he's texting now. Uh-oh.
Yeah. I noticed that first text was sent as a private message. He didn't have the guts to put it in our group chat.
See, I didn't even know he went by the store today. Alan, you are loved. Look at that. Oh. Classic Alan. Classic Alan. So before we go much further, I have a reason for asking about this on here. I understand that you got to leave work a little early today.
It was a shitty situation.
Now explain what you mean by that for everybody.
So apparently I'm not going to say where I work. Some of y'all know in the general area. Apparently, there was a sewage pipe that somebody tore up or something, and it literally took out an entire blocks worth of bathrooms, and they had to shut down bathrooms in multiple buildings for an entire block. And it was just kind of like, well, y'all go home now because we're not getting this fixed before Tuesday. So that's what I mean by when I say it was a shitty situation. I do have to go in for a few minutes, but I was on record as saying the minute I got to go to the bathroom, I'm done for the day.
You have to take a bottle with you? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, I got to take a bottle with me. So which, I mean, it kind of works out. Monday's technically a holiday, so.
Well, the reason I asked about that was because that gives you time now to go back and watch the Paul Jenkins episode, which you need to do.
I actually plan on watching that Saturday morning. We will be at another dance competition this weekend, and I've got nothing to do Saturday morning.
But you already picked up your comics this week, right?
Yeah, I actually, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make it by there tomorrow before we left to go out of town. So I went by, picked up my comics this week, and I did snatch a handful of comics to talk about tonight.
Oh, let's do it, because we were just for everybody who's we're supposed to have a Mark Spears on tonight, but I don't know where Mark is. I have tried to ping him, and something must have come up, but he is not here. So obviously, or he would be on. So apologies to anybody who has tuned in just for Mark Spears and not for us. We'll have to get Mark back. I will say this: he sent me the script for his Monsters #1 comic to proof it a little bit, and as I was going along, I was like, okay, I just had the script, just the text, right? Just the dialogue and such. I didn't have any of the art or anything. So I read through it, and then I got a PDF of just the art, but with no dialogue or anything in it. So I read the script, so I knew what was happening, and then I got the chance to read the comic itself. Or to look at the pictures of the comic itself. So it was a deconstructed comic book, long and short of it. Dude, the art in that book is stunning.
Really? I bet it is.
Now, I almost didn't open it because I thought maybe he got hacked and I was getting sent something I didn't want. Because the thumbnail that it chose to show for the entire art was a middle panel off the top of the very first page, which is a shot from the back of a fat dude in a wife beater and whitey tighties standing in front of the bathroom mirror. And it's from the back, and that's what you see. And it looked like a photograph. And I was like, who is sending me this awful stuff? I do not want to look at this.
So is Mark's trying to sneak up on me in my own house?
Yeah, he's got more hair than you.
Oh, okay.
Not a lot, but he has more hair than you.
So it's Nick then.
Ouch. No, this guy does not look like Nick. But from just that little thumbnail, given the size it was and everything, it looked like a photograph. And I thought maybe Mark had been hacked and somebody had sent me the wrong thing that I did not want. But Mark convinced me that it was correct. And I'm like, okay, what am I getting into? I was like, oh, okay. In context, it worked. It made all kinds of sense. But when that thumbnail is the only thing you have to judge an entire attachment by, that was like, no, not for me. But the artwork is stunning. It is absolutely gorgeous. And the story, that first issue, had a really nice little plot element to it that made me quite happy. So I'm curious to see where it goes in the second issue, which he just sent me, by the way, so I can read the script on that. Hopefully, get to see the art too. But yeah, Mark is not just a cover guy. He can do sequential storytelling and art, and there's some beautiful work in there.
Now you backed it on the retailer level, didn't you?
We are going to have a ton of copies available at the store, and we're going to have him out to do a signing.
That is going to be awesome.
Correct. But yes, we are going to have him out to do a signing at the shop, and I am very excited about that. It's going to be very good. But yeah, for don't know what happened, but he's not here tonight, so apologies. Glad you picked up some books at the shop to talk about. Let's talk about them.
So right off the bat, this one is actually the feature book of a short that is already scheduled to come out tomorrow. And when I saw this book, I really don't plan on reading this book, but I did purchase 2 copies. I purchased Bug her reader copy, and I purchased her. When I saw this cover, I was like, she's going to love it. I got to get it. This is technically not my book. This is the Bugs book, and that is Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, the Scotty Young variant. I knew the second she saw Scarlet Witch like that, she was going to have it, so I just went ahead and picked it up.
Okay, I was going to ask why the Scotty Young variant, but she'll dig that.
Yeah, she'll definitely dig the artwork on that. What she actually saw it last night and she loved it.
Got it.
So the books that I have are not books from this week. I literally just grabbed a handful. These might actually be from last week and maybe even 2 weeks ago.
All right.
But these were. Let's start with this one right here. And that was Nightwing issue 110 with Mr.
Meme
Mittens.
cover.
The what?
The meme cover.
Yeah, Mr. Mittens. I thought that was great. I like the way Tom Taylor wrote Damian and Jonathan in this. It was more of a, I guess I need to put it over here. It was more of a book about siblings. That's really the way that it come across.
I will say I hated them less in that book than I normally do.
Yeah, because I'm not a big Jonathan Kent or Damian Wayne fan, but I thought they worked in this. I thought it was a really good book, especially when Damian was basically, did I hurt anybody? You could tell that really bothered him. I liked the dynamic between the 3 of them in this particular book. Once again, it's Nightwing and it's Tom Taylor.
Honestly, it's hard to go wrong with that, I will say.
And in my opinion, this is literally and truly one of DC's cornerstone books now. Whether that was intended or not, it's a must-read for DC Comics. If you're reading in DC, this one's got to be on your list.
Speaking of must-read things, I have to tell you, we have a listener who listens to us on Fridays. God bless him. I won't reveal his name just in case he wants the anonymity, but he listens to us on Fridays, and he actually does listen to what we're saying, and he will pick up some books that we are blabbing on endlessly about how awesome they are. He got Dead Romans for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And at first he was kind of not real happy because he came in to buy the hardcover and it was the last one we had and it was missing because somebody had already bought it, but his kids had bought it for him for Christmas.
Okay.
So it turned out to be a pleasant surprise. And so he read it. He finally was able to read it. And he came to the store like, oh my God, that is so good. Yes, it is. Just wait until the next arc when it has me and Alan in it.
Oh, that's going to be even better. I'm a little nervous though. I'm still a little nervous about what we're going to be doing in it.
Well, I guarantee, I think your head is going to be on a pike.
As long as I'm not doing my best Ned Beatty imitation. All right.
I haven't heard your pig squeal. How is it?
Not very good, especially with all this congestion. Next up,
a good earthy squeal.
Next up, we had Wonder Woman issue 5.
Yes.
So basically, you've got Wonder Woman who is getting ready to go to war, and you've got was it Wonder? Who all was in it? Cassie. Basically, for lack of a better way to put it, we could say the Wonder Girls. And they've each challenged her basically in their, according to their traditions, on whether or not they can help her or not in her upcoming war. I liked the way that that was written
Mm-hmm.
with the challenges. That was really good. I loved the last challenge where she's basically having to sit there and play video games, and she's never played video games, but she understands the way Bruce and Clark think and what they do. I thought that that was very well written. And then pretty much at the end of it, it was like, yeah, well, we're not honoring that. We're going with you anyway. I thought that that was very well done. The story between Jonathan, Damien, and Trinity, I would really like to. I enjoyed that. I generally don't enjoy the secondary stories, but I'm enjoying finding out a little bit more about Trinity. My big thing is, and I'm just going to show it. I don't know where this actually takes place in their timeline. Um, but if you look, they're basically sitting there having a drink after they've done their race and everything.
Yep.
Over here, is
The
this a
Trinity.
memorial? Is it a memorial? Or is it just? I mean, are they dead? Are they this just honoring them? I mean, are they still around? Because when you read it, they refer to Jonathan as Superman. Damien is referred to as Batman. So are their fathers dead? Are they alive? Are they retired? Where do we actually stand in all this? But I've enjoyed learning more about Trinity. I've got that Trinity one issue at
The
home.
special.
Yet.
That's kind of frustrating to me because it's a whole lot of reprinted material with one short story that's new.
Really?
Yeah. That was really frustrating.
Have you seen anywhere where it even remotely gives a hint as far as Trinity's timeline? Where she fits into all of it? Because that's
Nope.
going to have to come into it sooner or later.
It absolutely does. But I think slowly spooling out that mystery is what Tom King wants to do.
And Tom King has done a great job on Wonder Woman. I've enjoyed
Wonder
it.
Woman is a phenomenal book. Uh, it is just stupendous, and the artwork is spectacular. The combination of storytelling with artwork is glorious. Tom King is a bit wordy in this book, more so even than some of his others, and occasionally that bothers me. Like I feel like I'm slogging through text and dialogue, um, but only occasionally. For the most part, I love the plotting. I love where the story is, and I love the way it's being executed. And I think that Daniel Sampier is just killing it with the art. He is knocking that out of the park.
Jay, I'm going to say no, she's not. And the reason why I say that is there has been another story where Damien and Jonathan are teenagers, they're younger, and she's pretty much a toddler, and
Yep.
they're babysitting.
Yep.
I don't think she's time displaced or anything. I think that we are just I think they're trying to grow her up a little bit faster than normal, just so they can get to where they need to be in the story. But I like what they've done with her so far. And I love the fact that, number one, we have not seen any of the original Trinity.
Nope.
Other than that one panel thing, we have not seen the actual characters of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman in those sub stories. It's been literally about this sibling relationship between Trinity, Jonathan, and Damien. She honestly views them as her brothers. I mean, it's just they are her brothers as far as she's concerned, and you can tell the way they kind of look after her and they're there for her, that they view her as probably an annoying little sister. But
Oh, definitely.
but to them, she's still their little sister. It's going to have to happen one day, but I'm looking forward to the issue or to the short story where something happens with her and Damien and Jonathan lose it. because you can tell they're gonna build that relationship. So next up, and this is another one of those that we kind of started talking about this. It might have been last night, and then I have to watch myself. I purposely try to avoid some conversations with you, just simply so we'll be forced to have them here
Uh-oh.
in this one. So this one we kind of talked about. I believe it was last night. Punisher issue number 3.
A little bit, yeah.
This was a really, really, really good issue. It was a solid issue, but there toward the end of it, with this page right here, and just a few words on this page and a few words on the next page, it went from being a good book to flat out being a powerful book. I mean, it was, maybe I just got into it. I don't know, but because he literally, it's
That's the moment when it clicked for you, like hardcore.
yeah, I mean, it clicked for me hardcore because at the same time, when you read what's going on in this particular, it starts at the end of the second issue, but when you really read what's going on in this issue, at the time that it clicks for you as the reader, it's also clicking for him as the character. You know, and because even he says at one point, I'll be listening until the day I die. I mean, it was very well done. Pepos deserves all the credit in the world for what he's doing with Punisher, because I did not think I was going to like this.
He's the same guy that did Moon Knight City of the Dead.
Yeah, and he also did an AWA book that we both really enjoyed.
Yep.
My thing was,
we should bring him on the show.
Oh, yeah, really. To kind of give y'all an idea, well, I mean, it would be hard to explain with what all's going on in this book, but about the time that it clicks for him, he's also having this fear-induced nightmare about his deceased family. And he's basically, I want to go with you. I want to be there with you. I want to die with you. And his deceased wife, who looks like a burnt up zombie. I mean, does not look like, she should supposed to look, but she died in an explosion, is like, no, you can't. Because there's people out there hurting. There's people out there that need you. There's people out there that you can help. You can't come with us right now. So about the time it's all clicking for you as the reader, it's all clicking for him. And I just felt like it was just brilliantly done.
I have really enjoyed that book, and it kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, I have enjoyed The Punisher in little fits and starts over the years. I would read a few issues here and there. I collected it for a while, but never, that was 20, 30 years ago at this point, that I was like reading it very often or hardcore. Haven't really been a big fan of The Punisher in a long time. Haven't read a lot of his stuff. I will say the exceptions to that are anytime Garth Ennis writes a Punisher story set during the Vietnam War or something, those are spectacular without fail. Those are excellent. But this one kind of came out of nowhere, didn't get a lot of publicity. People weren't pushing it. People still aren't talking about it. They're not pushing it. It's absolutely flying under the radar, but I decided to give it a whirl, and I really, really liked that first issue. I thought it was solid. And I thought the second issue was solid plus some. And this issue, like you, I thought this issue was really, really strong.
Yeah,
and I really liked it. He's got a totally different character from Frank Castle. He's got it's not a totally different motivation, but it is a different motivation.
Yeah.
And his approach to it is different. His thought process about it is different. So I really like that. That, for me, given where Frank Castle went and what happened to him, this is a case where I think it's an organic, story-driven decision or opportunity to put somebody else in the role of somebody that we know and somebody that has a lot of fans, right? It works here the same way it worked for Miles Morales to take over when Peter Parker died in the Ultimate Universe back in the day.
Yeah.
it works because the story drove it to this point. It wasn't like some suit upstairs said, "Hey, make somebody new the Punisher now." People don't identify with this guy anymore. Make somebody new the Punisher. Only to then find out people do identify with this guy. They've been trying it forever. They've tried it with Spider-Man. They tried it with Batman. They tried it with Superman. They've tried it with everybody who has been around for a while because it's so frustrating. But I think this is a case where the story makes sense. This guy didn't set out to be the Punisher. He wasn't trying to be the Punisher. He didn't like draw the skull and all this stuff on his suit. He's just wearing tactical armor that vaguely resembles that, and then he leaned into it after somebody mentioned it. But it's all very organic, and I like that.
Yeah, because if you actually look at Gold Goblin #1, but if you actually look at his suit, with it being a tactical suit, and it does show it, I believe, in this issue. Those aren't eyes. There's actually a function. They're actually lights.
Yep.
And I thought that was really cool. But to kind of give everybody an idea of what we're talking about, and yeah, I'm doing this on purpose. I'm hoping to get maybe a couple more people on board because I would like to see this comic continue on. And I think this is the only way it's going to continue on is if people start buying it. But
Yep.
During this hallucination, in this kind of nightmare where he's seeing his deceased wife, she's showing him other victims. And he's begging her, basically, I want to come with you. And she says, and this is, I'm reading it directly out of the book. She says, I'm sorry, my love, but there is only one way to join us now. You have to avenge us, all of us. And she's showing him on that page all those victims. Well, then it kind of goes into him talking a little bit for a page. But then the part that got me was when it says, everyone turns away from the shadows, pretending they can't hear the screams, but I'm listening now. That got me. I was just kind of like, oh yeah, he's the Punisher now. He's the one that's going to protect everybody. But I think one of the reasons why this worked for me so well, and for lack of a better word, I am kind of becoming a little bit passionate about this book after the third issue, was because, like you said, he never set out to be the Punisher. He had an entirely different backstory, and then he was actually referred to as the Gravedigger of S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, this was the guy that S.H.I.E.L.D. called when they needed that type of work done. I think at one point he even makes the comment about, I don't care if they call me the Punisher or not. You know, call me whatever you want to. I don't care. This has just been so well done. And it's just flying just too far under the radar. More people need to be reading this. Nick, all joking aside, if you would pick up the current Fantastic Four run, if you would pick up the Punisher, and if you would pick up Chip Zdarsky's, start with his run on Daredevil, you would become passionate about these books. And Moon Knight. These books have been so well written by Pepos, McKay, North, Zdarsky. Now, I'm not willing to say that I'm head over heels, all 100% on board with Ahmed on Daredevil, but he's doing a good job.
It's solid. It's not stunning. It's not like wowing me, but it's solid.
Yeah,
and he had big shoes to fill.
Yeah, he really did. But now we see, with each issue, we see the direction the story's going. And there's another aspect about this story that I'm really intrigued about, and it's something that he himself said in an interview. I'm not going to repeat it here. I'll tell you off the air. It's nothing bad. I just don't want to go that route with the conversation, but it's something he himself said. That I find even more intriguing about the whole Daredevil comic book now. So yeah, Nick, you just need to read some of these books. You would find that passion when it comes to some of these characters. I never in my life thought I would be invested in Tigra and Moon Knight romance. And I'll be
No
damned if I
doubt. I
wasn't
mean, how
all up
far
into
flung
that.
is that?
Oh, when he showed up on her doorstep not wearing the mask, and you're reading it, you're like, finally, thank God, finally, here it is. It's happening.
It's like waiting for Ross and Rachel.
Yeah, yeah. Come on, look, we all know that Leonard and Penny are getting together. Let's get Priya out of the way. She was a useless character.
True. I agree. But you talk about Tiger though. That's a talk. It's an example of somebody taking a character who's been around forever, and it's a character that clearly he really likes. Right? He
Mm-hmm.
really likes her, and that's his oddball character from the 70s and 80s that he really likes. And so he's found a way to bring her into this series. It helps that Moon Knight and she were on the West Coast Avengers together. But he brings her in and just slowly, organically introduces her and develops her character through the book. And you find yourself caring about Tigra, who until probably this book, the vast majority of people did not know her real name, did not know that she was anything other than a tiger lady in a bikini. Um, what else was there to know? There wasn't a whole lot of character development that's happened, or at least not that has stuck with her. But you bring this in, and now you're seeing them together. You're rooting for them, and then when you see what happens with Moon Knight, and you see that she is ticked off, you get to see what an angry Tigra really looks like, and that is not something you want to be on the receiving end of.
Now, what gets me about it is you're finally getting you know that they finally gotten together. You know that it's finally happened. They're a couple, even though you don't see them together,
Uh huh.
and you never see any type of, for lack of a better way to put it, any PDA
No.
until that one moment where she was standing with her foot trapped on the mine, and they both knew that somebody was going to die that night.
Yep.
She kissed him. He went upstairs and he died that night.
He got blown to smithereens
Yeah. Well, I'm putting air quotes around it because he's the comic book
because it's a
character
comic book character.
and
Yeah.
they always come back. But it was just perfect. He finally gets you to where he finally gets the reader to where he wants the reader. He wants them to feel this way, and then he rips it all away from you. I just thought it was brilliant writing, to be honest with you, the way he did it. I've got it at home. Oh, yeah.
First of all, this cover, in Big and Me, this cover is exceptional. I mean, this cover is absolutely spectacular. What a phenomenal cover. This made me extremely happy. This story, where we're still trying to figure out who is the new Moon Knight, um, I really want you to read this because I think, of course, I have a biased attitude or opinion about this, but I think that this just reinforces the person who I thought it was. But there's some elements of, for lack of a better word, magic that this person has,
Really?
that this Moon Knight has, that I was not expecting. Some
That person didn't hurt
powers,
me.
some moon-based powers of some sort that you see here that I was not expecting, and that has made me question a little bit my thought process.
But at the same time, we don't know what that person's agreement was with the Midnight Mission.
Oh, wait until you read this book.
Okay. All right. Um. So
Wow, I've got the screen real quick.
Show us something good.
For anybody who picked up the first story we had at the shop, Wraith of God #2 is out. And we have a couple copies up at the shop, or we will this week. Last time it was werewolves. This time it's vampires. but it's a Western. It's a weird West book. Is there what are you trying to see? I see you like zooming
Well,
in real
I
quick.
would. So I'm assuming this is Nosferatu over here,
Yeah,
and
and
then
those
on
are
the
like
other.
Brides of Dracula.
Yeah, that's what I was. Okay,
Yeah,
that's kind of cool looking.
yeah. This art is spectacular, and all the copies we got are signed, which is pretty cool. And there's a backup story in here of the Nightclub, which is his superhero group that's in a more modern setting that has Garbage Man and this elephant looking dude, and it's some pretty cool stuff. It's fun. But yeah, we'll have a few copies of Wraith of God #2. If you have not read the first one, Wraith of God is a Western. The main character is kind of like a little bit of a cross between Mysterio and Ghost Rider a little bit, although he doesn't really have any magical powers like you would associate with Ghost Rider. Much more so in the Mysterio vein. But it's a straight up Western. It's fun stuff. It's good old fashioned comic books, and the books are thick. It's like an 80-page giant or a 100-page giant. It's more in that territory. It's a thick book, um, but very 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 good. We have the first volume still on the shelf at the store, and the second volume just came out, so we've got that here. I wanted to bring that up while I was still embiggened on the screen.
Yeah, I still have not read the first one. I need to though. I know. I read so much though. I really do. Next up, of like I've only got like three left of just what I grabbed, what I could get my hands on earlier. I was in a little bit of a rush. Um, I know a couple of people some people made fun of this cover. Some people fell in love with it. I thought it was a really cool cover, but at the same time, I'm reading the story, so I understand why this cover is what it is. And
This
that
must be
was
Fantastic Four. No, Superman.
Superman number 10.
Yep.
You get the backstory. We finally find out exactly who Marilyn Moonlight is. I did not want to see this comic book end. I love this idea of Superman he was literally in the Old West. This is a story accurate cover. He was briefly lost in time. It was good. It was fun. I like what Williamson is doing with Superman because every issue no longer feels like it is, planet ending crisis. Only the Man of Steel, who's stronger than everybody else, can save the world. Honestly, it really comes back to it feels like Williamson has turned it into what it used to be. Superman, Lois, and Metropolis. That's just kind of, the way they used to feel. And that's the way this is kind of feeling again. I've really enjoyed what Williamson's done with Superman. Like even in this particular issue, he's actually writing a letter to Lois, basically telling her what's going on, not even knowing if he's going to make it home. Now, yeah,
My dear Lois.
yeah, my dearest Lois. But it's a good issue. It's a fun issue. And, we were talking about how McKay made us care about Tigra.
Yeah.
And literally, now we have not gotten back to her. She's only been in like a little bit here and there. I want to say it was around issue 3 or 4. Williamson threw one line out there that was uttered by Jimmy Olsen, and it made you stop and think and go, okay, what's the deal with Silver Banshee? That's always been a throwaway character. What happened here? And it made that character intriguing again. You get the answer in the next issue, and on some level, you kind of care about Silver Banshee now.
No. Really?
So basically, what had happened was
Well, you see, what had happened was
Superman was fighting Silver Banshee, but
Okay.
she was not in her right mind. She was actually being controlled. And just as Superman goes to stop her, Jimmy Olsen jumps between them and says, "You can't. I love her."
What?
And that's literally it. I mean, it's like the entire city goes, "Huh?" Um,
Yeah.
but you find out
This
that
from the same guy who married a gorilla. So
yeah, but you find out they're in love. They've been living together. They, you see this throughout the book, but you don't realize really and truly what's going on until he stands up in front of everybody and says, "Uh-uh."
huh.
Well, when they realize what's going on, yeah, on some level, it was it was one of those. They took a character that I really and truly the first time I remember seeing Silver Banshee was in
Hmm.
the animated Superman cartoon.
Yeah, fair enough.
Um, and it was always kind of a throwaway character. But they took two background characters, or Williamson took two background characters, put them together, gave them a nice little story that was not complicated. And by the end of it, you're just kind of like, well, I hope it works out for the kids. I'm happy for
Hope it works out for those kids.
them. So, I mean, I wish that more writers were doing stuff like that. Um, but once again, I mean, Superman, if you're not picking up Superman, it's been
I'll be honest,
good.
I haven't been.
I mean, it's been really good what he's done with it.
I got so put off by Superman and just the completely imagination free stories that were happening for the longest time. I was so put off by it and so bored by it. I just had a real hard time putting myself in a like, do I care? Could I possibly care? And so now that you're telling me this, I feel like I need to check it out because I would like to care. I
Um,
really would.
like I said, issue 10 for me was one of those books where it was just kind of like I didn't want it to end. I liked what was going on with the story. I thought it was fun. I just liked where everything was at. Marilyn Moonlight, you find out pretty much her origins, what all she did. She was truly the original hero of Goth. I mean, not of Metropolis.
Metropolis.
Back when it was a small, Western town, like Wild West style town. That's how long she's been around. You find out why they only see her at night now in Metropolis. So, I mean, you get her backstory, and it's actually a really cool backstory. It's one of those that if they ever decided to do just say a 3 or 4 issue miniseries
Hmm.
to fill in the gaps of, say, like her last adventure um, in the Wild West and get her to now, I would definitely read that story. It's just a cool character so far. Now a book that's been kind of it's been fun to read. I've enjoyed it. It's definitely been out there. It does kind of jump around time wise, but when you understand what they're going through and where they're at, it makes sense for it to jump around time wise.
Okay.
But it's still, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, this is a weird book and I can't get enough of it. And that's Edenwood.
Oh yeah, Edenwood has been good.
Yeah, this last issue with the whole basically the fight over the armor and is this guy a demon? What was he? And all this other stuff. Oh, that's been great.
Yeah.
Um, I was afraid with Tony Daniels and them taking a break from Nocterra even he says, "Hey, they're letting me take a break from this so I can do Edenwood." It was kind of, sometimes when they do stuff like that, it really doesn't work out in the reader's favor. But
Does not.
this is working out in the reader's favor. I mean, it's had some great art. It's been a cool story. It's the exact same artist from Nocterra. We'll just go to the back to the ad. So I really enjoyed it. And then my last book, this book just scares me.
Oh yeah, that book is all kinds of messed up.
Because just when you think you've got it figured out, that's not your friend. Someone else is wearing his skin. Do what? Excuse me? Your friend is now this goo in the bathtub that's still alive and his skin is walking around on somebody else?
I suspect that there is not a tie here. I think there probably is not. But there's a small piece of me that thinks maybe there is and could see it a tie between the Ribbon Queen and the Madness. Because there's enough mystery in the madness of like what the heck that there could be that same in the background kind of thing going on with this one. And I wonder if it's something clever that they have.
I could see those two in the same universe. Um, they're both like the Ribbon Queen. We know that she's basically an entity that
Mhm.
was born out of a woman's revenge.
Kind of
Um,
feels like the madness a little bit.
yeah, which does kind of feel like the madness, but the Ribbon Queen really and truly isn't helping someone. She's getting revenge for them after the fact.
Right.
Where the madness was with this girl for years. I mean, she
Hmm.
was like a companion.
But I
And
wonder if it might be the same kind of entity.
or they could be like sister entities.
Right. And I
That would be
wonder
cool.
if that's going on in the background.
Yeah,
Because
it's just
it could make for a cool story. Like if you find this world of these other entities that somehow get tied to people here, and sometimes they can do things. Like, all right, I'm
and then
intrigued.
it's is she going to say yes to the Ribbon Queen? Is she going to be, is she going to become the next Ribbon Queen? What's going to happen? Is she going to be able to save her friend on any level? At this point, do you even try to save him? He's nothing but goo in a bathtub and his skin's being worn by somebody else. And I know that sounds so bad for the people that are not reading this book, but if you're reading it, it makes perfect sense.
Yes.
It's really bizarre the way Garth Ennis has done this, but it's worked. I have enjoyed it. We've only got one issue left, so I can't wait to see how that turns out.
No, I'm interested in that one too. That one's kind of had me on the edge of my seat for a bit.
Yeah,
Um,
that was all I was really able to grab earlier. That's kind of where I'm at.
well, I have a question,
Can I with it?
which was, have you read the first issue of this yet?
Yes, I was almost done with it when what you and I talked about earlier, what had to happen. Um, I'm up to the part where, and I think I've only got like maybe a couple of pages left, but I had to walk out of the house. Um, Steve basically takes off his glasses and he's going to try to help those kids on the street.
Yep.
And he ends up basically getting kidnapped himself, and it's Luke Cage.
Yep.
So that's where I'm at.
Okay. You're
So,
about to find out some things.
okay, I've enjoyed it so far. I like this whole aging superhero that really can't do anything but still tries to do something kind of idea. Um, I am I understand what you were saying about Daredevil now, but at the same time, I think I'm very intrigued in this Daredevil. He is an old man, but he still has all of his power. I mean, he still has all those abilities as far as, radar, hearing, and all that.
Yep.
So, where does
Well,
that lead you? What happens
like
to you
like I
as an
said, you're
old?
about to find out some stuff.
Okay, so yeah, I've definitely
I
enjoyed it.
wish you'd read like 3 more pages.
It was one of those I had to walk out the door right then, and then
Yep.
I was
Yep.
mad, going, I knew I shouldn't have started reading that comic book right then. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a remarkably good book. It's solid. It feels like a gut punch when you read it, and I assume you haven't seen Spider-Man yet.
No, with what happens to him
Yeah,
on H Day.
yeah.
Yeah, that was honestly, this book is actually a downer.
Oh, it absolutely is.
I mean, there's parts of it that are flat out depressing.
Uh
Um,
huh. That's what when I said it was like a gut punch. That's what I meant.
yeah, I mean, you're reading it and you're there in the back of your mind, you're thinking, no, this is not what ends up happening to Captain America.
Can't be.
This is not what happens to Luke Cage. Well, wait a minute, you just did this to Spider-Man? He didn't even make it as far as he could have.
No.
And they even called it out. You're the best of us. Well, we're.
And that was heartbreaking.
It really was.
That scene, if that scene didn't make you like, you know, curse somebody for peeling onions, I don't know what would. That was that was rough.
Does it say what happened to her? Was she saved? So I'm extremely interested in finding out more about H Day.
Yeah, they definitely make you want to know more about that for sure.
Yeah. Because on some level, you're reading that and you're thinking, okay, maybe H Day should have had its own little mini series, and then we went to this.
It might get one as a prequel. I don't
Yeah.
know. I will say, just as a nebulous event that happened and a lot of bad stuff was part of it, um, it does give an air of gravitas to this series. Like this is not a series that like has the haha funny quip moments here. This is not what that is. This is it is depressing. It's hardcore, but it's in a good way, if that makes any sense.
Yep.
And the second issue, you learn more and you see more of different people in different roles. And I I'm trying to think of a good way to explain this. Have you ever played the board game Arkham Horror?
No, huh?
It's the single most complex board game I've ever played in my life. It takes an hour to set it up.
Good God.
There's so much to it. Once you get into it, it actually goes pretty easy. But the first time you play, it's daunting, and it's Cthulhian, Lovecraftian horror, right?
Yep.
It's not fun. The first time I played it, it was not fun, and I wanted to play it again immediately.
Really? Okay. Why?
Because it was fascinating.
Okay, I'll give you that.
It was interesting. Now it becomes fun when you figure out how to play it and that sort of thing. But that first issue or that first time I played it wasn't fun, but I wanted to do it again. Avengers Twilight is not fun. It's not fun comics. It's not Ryan North on the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
But I can't wait to read the next issue. And that's one of the things I like. I mean, comics is a medium for telling stories like anything else. You can tell serious stories, comedies, you can tell action stories, and you can tell romances. You can tell any kind of story. And this is a great example of a different kind of story. Yeah, it's superheroes, but it's not bright, shiny, spangled superheroes coming in to save the day. This is superheroes like dealing with horrific aftermath and a fascist state and all these kind of things, and what are they going to do about it?
Yeah, you've got all that going on, and the people that we've literally grown up reading about stopping that stuff and saving the day are now old men that meet in the park once a week or for coffee.
Yeah.
That was kind of honestly the whole scene of just them being old men meeting for coffee and him going, well, I already had a cup. Rosa brought it to me in bed this morning. I shouldn't really have another cup. That was heartbreaking itself.
Yeah, the mundane nature of all that.
Yeah, because you're like, that's not how I mean, let's look at it like this. Do these, and I know this is going to sound bad, and I don't care if it sounds bad or not, because we've all grown up reading these characters. Do they really and truly deserve, or would it be a proper ending for their character if they get to grow old? And, or should some of these characters actually go out, on their horse with both guns blazing?
Yep.
What would be better for them? And when you read this, you're on some level, you're thinking, it might have been better for Luke Cage if he'd have went out on his horse with both guns blazing.
Yeah, he's in a rough spot.
Yeah, and you see Daredevil, who does kind of come across as a bitter old man, and you're just kind of like, well, I understand it. I mean, we all see what he's gone through. There's no telling what all he's gone through at this point. Maybe he should have went out, fell off a rooftop or something. Yep. So yeah, it's definitely a different type of read.
Now, I haven't gotten to read this one yet, but it's because I haven't read the first one yet, and it's in my other big pile of comics over here. But this cover intrigues me because, on the one hand, it makes no sense at all, and yet it also kind of works, and it reminds me of the character Warlock from the old New Mutants days.
Yeah.
Might want to embiggen me for this because you're going to want to see this. Yes, that is Man Thing 2099. Like, it doesn't work at all, and yet it kind of works.
Yeah, I definitely see the Warlock connection. But
it's the antithesis of everything that is Man Thing.
Yeah.
Man Thing has no technology, no cyber, no nothing. He's purely a creature of organics. And so for him to have this whole technology thing is weird. It's like, did a computer virus infect a swamp? I mean, what happened? I'm curious to find out. I'm going to read it and I will let you know. But I was like, just bizarre. But the entire idea is so paradoxical that you can have a, for lack of a better term, a digital Man Thing. Because Man Thing is organics, computers are not, and this guy is some weird bio computer looking thing. I don't know.
Unless it's some type of AI. That
maybe.
That, to me, that's the only way that would actually work.
Well, we'll find out. I'll let you know.
All right, yeah, let me know on that one.
I just thought it was interesting and worth the discussion. You can unbiggen me now. Although if we leave it the other way, that's more like a real life ratio. It's a
oh Lord.
Oh goodness. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot of comics to talk about today either. This was a pretty light week as far as some of the things coming out. I will say, on the continuing topic of some stuff we talked about the other day, the second print of Ultimate Spider-Man #1 came out this week.
I saw that.
The second print's already selling for $30 and $40.
Really?
Yeah.
When I was
the
up
first
there,
prints are selling for 70 to $80, and the second prints, which came out today, are already selling for $30 to $40.
Oh, stop! Push. Pause. Okay. I hate when you go to a website and it like automatically starts playing the video.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah.
Especially when you're at work and you're like, nah.
You're like, I don't want to hear that. I just want to read it. I was actually saw this article said public domain superheroes take the screen. And I was looking to see who the public domain superheroes were, but I'm really not.
Oh, some of the old ones, like the original Daredevil that was not a Marvel Daredevil.
Like Miss Masks, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Ones that you haven't heard of, most likely.
So, what did you think about the Deadpool 3 trailer?
I thought it looked exactly like a Deadpool trailer
I'm
with
wondering.
Wolverine.
I definitely. I mean, I'll end up going to the movie theater to see this. I
Oh,
think
I
it's
will
going to
too.
be. I think it's going to be funny, but I want to see what all the cameos are going to be.
Well, it wouldn't be any good if they told you now.
I know. Well, they told us all the cameos for Doctor Strange.
Well, that's true. That's true. They did spill an awful lot of beans there, but I don't think that they're going to do that. Hopefully, they won't do that again. Uh, yeah, hopefully not.
Yeah, Nick, you're right. I don't think it won't be the same without him, but at the same time, there's going to be so much going on in this. I mean, it would have been nice if he had some type of, a few lines in it, but I don't know. I
So,
mean, I think a lot of people, like, they're going to make $1 billion off of it. There's no doubt about that.
oh,
I think
none
a
at
lot of
all.
people are just going to see the Wolverine suit,
So, question, Nick, are we all going to go out to the movie theater on your birthday to see it?
What day does it come out? Nick's getting some birthday spankings.
Well, they do a thing in England that we might consider adopting here, which they don't spank you for your birthday. People pick you up by your arms and legs and they bounce your butt off the floor. And they call it the bumps. So we could just pick Nick up and we could bounce his butt off the floor 34 times or whatever and when to grow on.
And then I'm going to tell everybody I bumped Nick.
Right, that's one of the benefits.
Oh, Lord. July 26th. What day is that on? I'm sure it'll be a Thursday.
Well, we might have to do a special live show from the theater and go and say, this is what we're about to go see the movie. This is what we're expecting. We could do something like that. I mean, it's Nick's birthday. We might just have to bite the bullet. We want to show Nick that we care.
Let me look at this right quick. And you might, Nick sent a text message.
Oh, yes.
Actually, that's on a Friday night.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, we definitely need to go see it. Get everybody together and go see it.
Get the gang together, go see the movie. It'll all be pretty cool. It'll be chill. Yo.
We are getting a little bit closer. Do we want to wait till about a month out and get Mr. Long on the show? I mean,
yeah, I've got that on my list for sure. Although now that we've got tickets for sale at the store, any time would be good. But Kaylisa actually had a good recommendation. It was that we should have him on to do a do's and don'ts of going to a con. Right? Because a lot of people who will come out to the expo have never been to a convention in their life. They don't, things they don't know about con etiquette and things that you do and you don't do.
yep.
That was a pretty good show topic idea, I thought.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Watch that be the weird episode that makes us go viral. Hey, you guys should watch this and see what these guys said to do at a con and what not to do. Those idiots.
I got to fill out my little thing this year and see if it's going to work again.
Oh, for your media pass.
But you know what? Hey, I did go live all 3 days.
You did.
I mean, I got some video. That one video got over 300 views, Saturday's video.
Yep.
So I think I earned it.
I agree. I think you did too. That's just funny. I'm amused by it.
Oh, I was thoroughly amused by it.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Oh, Nick, stop it. There was something else I was going to ask you about.
Was it about talking to Pepos and getting him to come on the show? Because I'm totally on board with that.
No, I had gotten a.
Because maybe he's the one we need to talk to about a Moon Knight City of the Dead series that runs concurrently with Vengeance of Moon Knight.
Yeah. You know what? Let me see if I can track him down on Twitter. And then, okay, whatever. Okay, whatever. Stop.
Because, we found out what happened in Damascus. I'd love to find out what happened in Baghdad or what happened in Cairo. You know, there's a million places they could have gone, a million stories that they could share, and I would love to see it.
All right. So, crap. From the looks of it, you cannot. What? Squeeze me? Space Ghost by Dynamite Comics. That looks like that might be fun.
Could be.
That is a.
Space go.
Don't think you can really tell because of all the white.
Yeah, it's washed
Yeah.
out.
He, from the looks of it, you cannot DM him. He's got that function turned off. But he's got, let's go see what it says on his website.
Or you can't DM him, but you can certainly post to his. You can like add him, right?
Oh, yeah. You go to his website, the first thing that pops up is the Punisher.
I was going to say, the first thing that pops up is "Don't call me, I'll call you."
Yeah. Honestly, he's done a lot of comics. I mean,
oh yeah, he has. He absolutely has. But I got to tell you that Moon Knight City of the Dead was excellent, and it folded so seamlessly in with what McKay was doing. I really, really liked that. I really want to get McKay to come on the show. For that matter, Tom King and Tom Taylor.
Yeah, the ones that I would like to get: Pepos, North, McKay, Panosian. I mean, there's a bunch I'd like to get.
Okay, let's do a quick thought exercise because we're winding down and getting close to the end here. Nick's reading my mind a little bit. If we could bring on one of these three people, but only one, Mark Silvestri, Jim Lee, or Todd McFarlane, who do you pick? You can only bring one of those three. Who do you pick? I don't know if y'all can smell that, but there's burning coming from Alan's ears. It's like the wheels are turning.
Honestly, if I went with, say, Mark Silvestri, we would end up talking a lot about the Deadly Duo,
which was phenomenal.
I mean, which was great.
But we could also talk X-Men and Wolverine and Cyberforce.
If I went with the Todd father, I would actually probably end up spending, believe it or not, and some of y'all are just not going to understand this, I would end up spending a lot of time talking baseball with him. Because he is a massive baseball fan.
Yeah, but this is not a baseball show.
I know. And see, that's the problem because I've been wanting to talk about his collection. But I would really I think it would have to be Jim Lee. I think it would have to be Jim Lee because he was a part of that revolution in the 90s. Then he comes back. We see everything that he's done with DC. I mean, I just think it would be cool to talk to Jim Lee. He seems like he would be the guy that you would get all the stories from a different perspective. He seems like he would be the quiet guy in the room that watches all the chaos.
Yes.
And I think that he would give you a different perspective on a lot of stuff.
All right. So just to flip this around a little bit, of those three, which one is your favorite artist?
Which one is my favorite artist?
You have Mark Silvestri, Jim Lee, and Todd McFarlane.
Um, I don't know how to answer that because all three of them have their own distinct art style.
It's a tough question, isn't it?
It really is because okay, look at the dynamic. I mean, sorry, the Deadly Duo. The tone of that story and what all was going on. I don't think Jim Lee or Todd McFarlane could have done it justice. Because it's not what they were used to. And that's not taking anything away from them because they're both phenomenal artists. The way that Jim Lee does Batman, I don't think there's anybody else out there that can do Batman that way. I mean, you look at a Jim Lee Batman and you're like, yeah, it's Jim Lee.
And that's Batman.
And that's Batman. But with Silvestri's Batman, it's a totally different style.
Yep.
Now with McFarlane, yes, I mean it's everybody's always going to go to Spawn. Everybody's always going to talk about Spider-Man and all the stuff that he did there.
You can look at his Batman too.
Yeah, you can look at his Batman too. But with McFarlane, look at his Hulk. Look at his Dr. Fate. I mean, he's on a different level. I mean, it's a very hard question because we're talking about three very unique artists that when you see their work, you know it's their work. You know, it's
true.
So yeah, I don't know if I could even begin to answer that question. What about you? Which one is it?
Look at Nick's comment there. Oh, pop it up on the screen. He wants to talk about Marvel messing up Spider-Man and the fact that he made Peter and Mary Jane the best, which I get, and certainly that would be a big part of the conversation. For me, yes, you did. I appreciate that. For me, if I had to choose between those three, I'm hard torn between them because depending on what I'm trying to think, if I were writing a comic and I could pick one of them as my artist, who would I choose? And it would depend entirely on what kind of book I was writing.
Yes.
It would depend entirely on what kind of book I was writing. On the whole, if I had to pick one, for me, I think it's Mark Silvestri by the slimmest of margins, and it really goes back to I loved his run on X-Men. I loved his run on Wolverine. This I liked his books at Image probably the best, although in the early going anyway. I never really dug into Witchblade a whole lot or The Darkness. Those just didn't hit for me. Conceptually, I liked them, but the execution didn't necessarily hit for me. But if I had to rank order them, by the slimmest of margins for me, it would be Mark Silvestri, and then Jim Lee, and then Todd McFarlane. And I could really bounce back and forth between Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane as my top two. McFarlane's style, which I like, it's got a cartoonier vibe to it that I would have to have the right kind of book for. So there's that. But it is an interesting question because depending on the nature of the book, I would definitely go with one or another of those guys, just depending on the flavor of the comic.
Yeah, and I
But
think
speaking
it
of
would.
those, Nick just made a comment about Rob Liefeld, and did you see Rob Liefeld's announcement earlier this week?
No, uh-uh.
He is retiring from drawing Deadpool.
Okay.
I love that that's the entirety of your reaction. That's fantastic.
I mean, honestly, I mean, I know he gets a lot of flack because of the whole feet thing. He always will. But why do you have to make an announcement like that?
He said that he still feels good about his ability to draw, but the long days at the drawing board are he's starting to feel them, and he wants to go out on top, and he doesn't want uh, to be drawing and to have falling from the height of his powers and still thinking he's got it. He wants to just go out without anybody thinking that he's lost a step.
Okay, then draw some feet and call it a day. I mean, if you want people to think you're going out on top, do the one thing that everybody says you can't do and prove it.
I was trying to be polite, Nick. I wasn't going to say that. But yeah, that's the thought that ran through my head.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that, but at the same time, I'm one of those types that I'm going to leave the party the same way I showed up. I'm just going to mysteriously walk in the door, shake a couple of hands, tell a couple of folks, "Hey, how you doing?" And you're going to turn around, you're going to be like, "Well, damn, when he leave?" I don't see a point in announcing I'm never drawing Deadpool again. Really? So you're going to tell me that you've been an artist your entire life. You've been doodling and sketching back when you was just a wee lad
In
in
your button up jeans.
in 8th grade civics, and you're going to tell me that 10, 15 years from now you're not going to be sitting at the kitchen table doodling on a notebook and drawing Deadpool's head? No, I don't want to hear that crap. I mean, nobody.
It feels like the first of many farewell tours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of how it struck me.
Whether art to me, and I'm not trying to disrespect anybody, I'm not trying to slam them. To me, artists and musicians are exactly the same in the aspect of they never truly retire. Because that you may retire physically, but you can't just turn off that creativity.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it's always going to be in the back of your mind. You're always going to be writing songs, or you're always going to be doodling. So it's just kind of okay. If you're doing this to start a farewell tour, get your ass up to Haven and sign some books for me. Do a farewell tour. Hit comic books. Hit comic book stores.
Is
Go
that what
all
we
over
need
the
to tell
place.
Rob?
Do what?
Is that what we need to tell Rob?
That's what we need to tell Rob. Rob, that's what you need to do. If you're going to legit retire from a character that, I mean, arguably one of the biggest characters to come out of the 90s.
At one of, I'd say it probably was.
Yeah. Okay, then give us
name a bigger one.
Give us a legit farewell tour. Go to comic book stores. Go sign them autographs. Go, do a couple of goofy little sketches and everything. Nick, I don't have Haven's account. If I had Haven's account password, I would be all up in there. Hey, Rob, since you're retiring, when you going to come to our shop and sign some autographs?
You don't have to do it on the store account.
I can just tag the store in it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we should let Rob know. He's actually he's got a sense of humor about himself. Like when he created the whole pouch dude, the guy made of pouches who carries a gun made of pouches that shoots pouches.
Yep.
Um, that was hysterical. And he was making fun of himself with that. That was great. The fun thing there too was when he draws feet uh, or pouches for feet, he draws good looking feet. Go back and look at that pouch character and tell me I'm wrong.
I'm about to
That,
tweet him right now.
you do that, and I'm going to look up the pouch character and see if I can find a good picture of him so that we can share that on the screen. Because people, y'all, I'm dead serious. When he draws pouches for feet, they look like feet.
Okay, so he's unveiled the Extreme Universe.
Yeah.
I was trying to find where he's actually talking about retiring from drawing Deadpool.
Yeah, it was an announcement he made this past week.
Oh, he is all up in the middle of Doom 2, which, you know what? I don't care what the reviews say. I'm going to see it regardless.
Of what now? Oh, Doom
Doom,
2.
yeah, he's talking about reviews of Doom 2 on Twitter.
Yeah, dude, I'm anxiously looking forward to that. I think it's going to be great.
Oh, God, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Oh, I thought I was. There we go. It's just taking it a minute. All right, this is the image, and it's on Pinterest, so I can't blow it. But can y'all see that?
Oh, yeah.
Look at those feet. They look like feet.
Well, they look more like slippers.
But if they look like feet and slippers, they don't look like triangles.
Yeah, good point.
So he can draw feet. He just needs to think of them in terms of pouches. Just want everybody to know. Oh, yeah. I guess we should talk about Madam Web, right? Um,
I'm going to be honest with you. That's going to be when it goes on sale on pay-per-view. But I do want to see it just to see how it's done. But I don't know how accurate this is. Some people are saying you only see them in costumes for like the last 3 to 5 minutes of the movie.
um, well, Madam Web was a weird looking old lady,
Yeah.
not young, hot superhero. Madam Web was none of that. She looked more like old school Agatha Harkness than anything. So this is just absolutely bizarre. Am I avoiding how hot Vanessa Kirby is? Who is Vanessa Kirby?
Invisible Girl, Invisible Woman.
Oh, Sue Storm. Right. Yeah, you sent some pictures earlier. She was in. You said the last couple of uh, Mission Impossible movies. If I'm remembering right? She's like the arms broker lady. I think that's right. If so, yeah, I got no beef with that. I think she'd make a great Sue Storm. I don't know what people would be complaining about.
There was.
She seemed. I don't know how good an actor she is. That character is not the most fleshed out character. I mean, she's kind of a little bit one note, but she played the role very well. Uh, yeah.
I don't. Maybe I'm still just a touch confused on why we're actually getting a Madam Web movie.
Well, that is the question right there. Why is that happening? Why are they turning Craven into a like environmental protection guy? That's not Craven. He's a hunter.
Speaking of which, That's actually what I was going to ask you. Where's it at? It's in here. It's in there. Um, in Nightwing 110, we have in the beginning of it that woman that was in the wheelchair, and she had tattoos for basically all of the animals that she had tracked and killed.
Yes.
And then she ends up with the spore and somehow, some way turns green. This is who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I hope we get some more out of this character.
Yes, I would be interested in seeing more too.
Yeah, I mean that could be a good character moving forward, even without the spore.
Yeah. I'd like to see more of her. Of new characters that have been introduced of late, I really want to see more of the bride from Deadly Duo.
Yes, and
She was interesting to me.
if we ever get Silvestri on here, that's going to be the one thing that I ask him about. There was one particular picture that I saw earlier, and it was from Madam Web. I was trying to find it. It was is it that Sid? Is her name Sydney Sweeney?
Couldn't tell you.
I don't know half these kids' names anymore.
All I can tell you is I saw a fraction of the trailer for Madam Web, just a little bit, and I thought at first that was supposed to be Silk. And I thought they were making a movie for Silk.
I mean, honestly, it does not look bad, but it doesn't look like something I'm just going to rush right out and see.
It looks like a very good, high quality B movie.
Yeah, it really does. Okay, this is the picture I was talking about. I mean, the costume, I think this looks good. I like the way this looks. I like what they've done with that costume.
Because that's not Madam Web. That's
exactly.
That's the second Spider-Woman costume.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as the way it looks, I think it looks good.
Yeah, I've always liked that costume, but that's not Madam Web.
Yeah, but that's I still don't understand why we're getting this movie, and I maybe it's not for me to understand. It's not.
Well, it's simple. It's 2 words: cash grab.
To me,
now I don't think it's going to be very effective unless it catches on really big in China or something. But it doesn't look good.
They don't. I personally don't think they have the character recognition for it to be effective.
Well,
even
no, not at all. I mean, there's like 12 people who are hardcore comic collectors who know who Madam Web is. 0 people in the general public have any idea. So it's a blank slate that they can just make to do with. If they say, "Hey, Spider-Man's related to this," and people go, "Oh, okay."
They honestly, maybe they should have had Spider-Man in it. You know, some type of cameo, something to kind of tie it all together. But just throwing this out there on its own.
Well, he may have it in his contract that he doesn't appear in terrible movies.
Well, good point. But is he?
I'm sorry, I will not be appearing in that movie.
Is he even Spider-Man anymore?
Yeah, for at least one more.
Okay. I wonder what's actually. They've got to do something with the MCU, and they've got to do something soon. I do agree with them slowing down because they were pumping so much out. It was oversaturating everybody.
100%.
But at the same time, they are going to have to do something to right the wrongs that they threw out there.
Yep, I agree.
So I mean, I know a lot. Okay, like a lot of people did not like She-Hulk Attorney at Law. There were some parts of it that I could have cared less for just because I thought it was stupid.
But on the whole, I enjoyed it.
But as a whole, I enjoyed it because that's what I knew that character was from the old sensational She-Hulk.
Yep. It was not Savage She-Hulk. It was Sensational She-Hulk.
I don't understand. There were some aspects that I would have changed, but overall, I don't understand why Moon Knight got some of the hate that it got.
No understanding of that. That was
I
great.
don't get that. There were a couple of things that I would have changed. Um, Stephen Grant would not have been acting the way he was. That would not have happened. Mr. Knight would not have been as goobery because of Stephen. If anything, when Stephen become Mr. Knight, he would have become the refined gentleman that Mr. Knight portrays himself as. But we didn't even get that. But overall, as a whole, I loved it. I thought it was great.
I agree. I did too.
So yeah, they've definitely got some hate on some stuff. I enjoyed Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I liked it, but I didn't love it. I wasn't like, oh, I got to watch that again. I watched it. It was okay.
I felt like it was done. I felt like it was a Captain America movie just without Captain America. And then at the end, we got Captain America.
Yeah.
We just got a different Captain America, which we've had before in the comic books. So it's not like it was strange or anything.
Yep.
It was the natural progression of the character. And I think that's why I enjoyed it.
I really would like to see them go down the road of Young Avengers.
Yeah.
That Young Avengers story was phenomenal, and they've clearly put the pieces out there to start building that. But part of my issue, and this goes to a whole lot of things with the way that they've done the movies, and I understand the rationale behind why they've done it this way. Um, but they've sped up so many things, and they've burned through so many things that they've really tied their hands about some directions they can go and things that they can do. Um, they've burned through years of storytelling, decades of storytelling in like 5 years, 10 years for some of these characters. So stories that they could have told with those characters because of when they happened in that character's arc don't make any sense now to do.
Yeah.
Um, because now they've taken all of the characters and taken them alpha level world threatening end of the world kind of stuff, right? Spider-Man is a street level character. He should be a street level character. He shouldn't have a suit that is just an Iron Man suit, essentially, so that he can fly around in space. That's weird. He doesn't belong there.
See,
And if you tell enough stories that ground him first, and then you have him do those kind of things, that becomes the aberration. But now people think Spider-Man is just this guy who swings around with aliens and stuff, and that's not Spider-Man.
See, I'm hoping with the way they ended No Way Home,
right? That they're going to reset that.
Reset it all.
I hope so. I really hope so.
Because the way that ended, seeing that costume and just him going through the city like that, I felt like I was seeing what I would consider our Spider-Man.
Yeah.
For the first time.
But that's just one example, right? Because they've done that with a lot of these characters, and they fast forwarded to the big stories, right? So we got Infinity War and Endgame. That's really hard to come back from, as they have learned, right? You built this crescendo that's so big and so high and so loud that nobody can duplicate that. You can't just pick up from there. But I think that Young Avengers and building toward Young Avengers is a way that they could overcome some of that. And they would have to come at those stories from a different angle. But they could tell some of the older stories with those characters, and it would still be fresh and interesting. And I would like to see that. And I got on the Young Avengers kick primarily because we're talking about Falcon and Winter Soldier, and that made me think of Patriot, the grandson of the original Captain America. The test subject for the original Captain America. and I would like to see more of them. They've got the pieces in play. They've got Ant Man's daughter. They've got Hawkeye's daughter. They have Patriot. Uh, you just need Iron Lad and Wiccan and Hulkling.
I mean, technically, they have.
Wiccan and Hulkling.
Yeah, well, technically, well, they've got Iron Heart.
Well,
Not
no, sorry, they've got Wiccan. And who's the other one?
um,
It's not Hulkling. It's the other. It's the son of the other kid of Scarlet Witch.
I thought that was
The
Hulkling.
fast one. No, Hulkling is the green half Kree dude. He's not the super fast guy.
Oh yeah.
Because Hulkling and Wiccan actually end up together, and that would be weird if they were brothers.
Let's see.
I can't remember his name right now. But I would love to see them actually pull those threads through and put that group together and tell a Young Avengers story. If they did it where it felt kind of like, did you ever watch the Enola Holmes movie?
I never did. Was it as good as everybody said it was?
They're fantastic. Strongly recommend. They are great.
William and Thomas Maximoff.
Yeah.
Are their names. It's just saying Wiccan. I'm not seeing a name for the other one.
Well, he has one, but whatever it is, going back to the Enola Holmes thing.
Wiccan and Speed.
Speed. That's it. Speed.
Yep. That's original.
There you go. Anyway, Enola Holmes is fantastic. It's really, really good. Strongly recommend. You and Bug would love it.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's great. It's fourth wall breaking. She talks to you, which is also fun. But it just has a sense of humor about it, but still telling a serious story. And if you could build toward a Young Avengers where the kids have to get together to do something, the older Avengers could still be there in similar capacity to the capacity that Henry Cavill as Sherlock Holmes serves in the Enola Holmes movie.
So, with Fantastic Four is taking place in the 60s.
Looks like it, yeah.
How are they going to explain where the Fantastic Four was basically throughout Endgame and all that?
That's easy.
They were out in space somewhere?
Negative zone.
Good point. I think that Fantastic...
That's why they haven't aged a bit since then.
I think that Fantastic Four should serve as the soft reboot for all of the MCU.
Yeah, I don't disagree. But I don't think they're gonna reboot though. I think they're gonna keep what has the continuity that has been established.
Yeah.
I think they're going to keep that, but I would wager that they've been stuck in the negative zone for some time.
All right.
And it turns out time works differently there, or something like that.
I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to Deadpool 3 because we know that he is about to smack everything they've ever done in the face, and we're all going to laugh at it.
Correct.
Which is going to be great, which is exactly what we need that movie to be.
Yes. No holds barred.
Yeah.
Yep. Agreed. Well, speaking of what we need things to be, I think we need to wrap up here. What do you say?
Sounds good to me. I'm sick and tired of hearing about
folks.
I'm sick and tired of hearing about Nick's hero. He's always over here yelling about Akira Yoshida. He loves that man.
Well, you can't blame him.
I know.
Very exciting.
With all that goodness that he's given us.
That's true. That's true. All right, everybody. You guys have fun. We'll check in with Mark, make sure he's cool, and see if there was just a misconnection or something. But we will get him back on the show here shortly, and we'll make sure you guys know about it. In the meantime,
misconnection. If you like pina coladas, you talking about misconnection? Oh, the hands in the rain. Tequila making love at midnight. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, my bad.
No, I was enjoying this. Keep going.
Oh, Lord. You can tell I'm getting tired.
Yeah, getting a little punchy.
You're getting
So
a
if you
little-
stuck around for the end of this one, Nosh, more power to you because you just got a treat. Rock on. But yeah, we'll check in with Mark, see what's going on, and we'll bring him back on, and we'll make sure to let everybody know. In the meantime, you guys have a great week. Read some comics, and come back next week ready to talk about them. That's your homework. Read some comics, and then we'll talk some comics because it's a lot of fun and we enjoy it. So we'll catch you guys next time.